Hi, I'm Dick Larson. I'm on the faculty here at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. And we have with us today Elizabeth Murray here on my right. And on my left, we have Karima Nigmatulina. And the three of us are going to be spending some time with you, just a few minutes, because we're delighted, we're thrilled, in fact, that you're thinking about creating a Blossoms interactive video learning module for high school math and science students. Now, Liz and Karima will be back with us momentarily, so we'll see you soon. Okay, thank you. And we're going to talk today about how you think about designing and creating a Blossoms learning video module for high school math and science students. And what's the payoff of this? If you think about it, how many opportunities do you get in life to influence beneficially the lives and potentially the careers of thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of high school math and science students worldwide? Okay, so this is not hard, but this is a step-by-step process we're going to talk about today for you to think about how to design and create a Blossoms learning module. Okay, so there are several steps. Step one is the concept of what your module will be. These modules are one-shot, one-hour modules where the video content will be 30 minutes or less. And you have to think about what concept you're going to talk about. It has to be sharp and focused. It's not out of a textbook, something that the student shouldn't see in the textbook, but it should be mind-expanding, maybe building on some of the prerequisite materials they've already seen in a geometry class or in a biology class, something like this. And so it could be mind-expanding that way. It could be something totally separate from regular courses, but they have to use basic principles to get to it. It could be an application, let's say, like architects building bridges and how they use geometry. It could be something personal from your own life, like how you estimated the height of a tree or a building using the Pythagorean theorem recently. Or you looked at a tree and you said, well, what is the mass of that tree and how much of it came from the earth? In fact, we have a Blossoms module like that. Or you might have gone and seen an ice skater spinning, and she was spinning around like this, and she spun faster as she moved her arms in. Why? Okay? These are the things you need to capture the students' attention early on, and then think about building the concept and how they attack that concept. So that's probably the hardest part in terms of the intellectual piece. Okay, step two. Step two is the pedagogical model. Now, this is hard for most of us teachers. Most of us teachers are used to lecturing to a class for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, in kind of a monologue kind of thing. Think of this now as you're doing a teaching duet with a teacher in a high school class somewhere in the world, a teacher who likely you'll never meet, and students who you'll never meet. And her success or his success in that classroom, leading them between the segments of your video segments, teaching segments, is just as critical, just as important as your own success. So you have to think about the pedagogical model is about half of the teaching and learning is from you on the video, and the other half is what the teacher's going to do as they guide the classroom in discussion or activities or projects, these sorts of things. Okay, so that is the pedagogical difficult part. And believe me, this is an example of where teaching is a learning experience, because the first time we tried this here at MIT, we all had some difficulty with this as well. Okay, those are the two key parts, the concept, okay, and the teaching duet. Okay, number three now you've got the concept down, you know what you're trying to do with the teaching, and you now have to architect out the whole thing. These are alternating sequences. You start and have a video segment 3 or 4 minutes long. You capture the student's attention with a very focused kind of question, okay? It shouldn't be very long. The opening should be focused and challenging and giving the in-class live teacher opportunity to engage the class in a learning exercise. And then you could think about the architecture. You're going to have 4 or 5 different segments, video segments, none of them longer than 5 minutes likely. And between each video segment, you have to think about what are the learning objectives that the in-class teacher is going to guide the students through. Okay, so that's the architecture. And so you kind of lay this out in some kind of plan, sketch it out, maybe a one-page concept paper, something like this. Okay, once you get that part done, then step 4. Okay, step 4 is what we call the pseudo script. You actually write out kind of what you would think you would say in the video module that you're creating. Okay, remember each module, each segment is no longer than 5 minutes, and the total video for the whole class is less than 30 minutes. So you write out a script. Not that you're going to read the script. No, you don't read the script because that would be dull and boring and put the class to sleep. No, you don't read the script, but you think about what you would say, and then obviously when you go through the module itself and you do the videotaping, you're going to say something similar, but not exactly to the script. Okay, now, equally important, after the whole video module is done and you've created it, at the end of it, you create a personal discussion with the teacher, something the students don't see. And this is what we call the Video Teacher's Guide. Okay, so the Video Teacher's Guide is something you plan to. That's step 5. And in the Video Teacher's Guide, you talk about the overall learning objectives of your module, the required prerequisites, any props that are needed to bring into the class, you know, devices, you know, kind of like this. We have a couple of little signs right here. We don't have very many props today. Okay, and then here's the key. In your discussion with the teacher, discuss what you hope the teacher can do and what the learning objectives are in each of the breaks between the segments that you have, okay? So in break number 1, you say you'd like to get the students involved and engaged, maybe put their names on guesses of things that they guess what the answers to certain things are, or whatever. Okay, so that's the Video Teacher's Guide. That's step number 5. Step number 6 is the easy step. It's the actual videotaping. Now, people get nervous. I'm nervous today. Other people are nervous. It's natural to be nervous doing the videotaping, but here's the good thing. Videotape is cheap and can be taped over. So if you have to take 2 or 3 or 4 runs at a scene to do it, that's fine. Make it natural, make it fun, don't read the script. The videotaping will go great, okay? Then the professionals or your friends or whoever's making the videotaping will give it back to you, and they'll do the editing for you, and you might have 3 video segments of segment 1, maybe 5 of segment 2 or whatever, and you want to choose which one is right for you. Usually it's the last one that you did is the best, but not necessarily. So you can think of this as, you know, Hollywood or Bollywood, kind of getting the correct scenes for your videotapes. So that's the edited module. And then also, we will help you create an edited manuscript. So it's a transcript. It's a transcript of what you said. Now, the transcript is important, the written transcript, because Blossoms is a collaboration with learners and teachers and students in other countries. So having the transcript available allows it to be translated into local languages, and that's very, very important. So it's important that you look through the transcript, correct it, because also if you have some technical terms, the translator might not have known the technical terms, so be careful there. And so that's basically it. Those are 8 steps that we wanted you to follow. And so your challenge now, we're going to take a break. This is the end of segment 1. Hopefully it was 5 minutes or less. I don't have a watch on. Your challenge now is to think about your concept and your pedagogical model and discuss it with your friends. Hopefully you're watching this with some friends and colleagues who might also be thinking about making a Blossoms module, or perhaps you're going to do it as a team. So discuss that now, spend 5-10 minutes doing that, and then Elizabeth Murray will be back to start segment 2. Thank you very much.
Welcome back. I hope you were able to accomplish Professor Larson's assignment, and for those of you watching this in a group, that you were able to work together and get a sense of whether the topic that you've chosen seems to be a good one for a Blossoms module. If you still have questions and you're not sure, feel free to contact Professor Larson at the email address that's on the screen. Now, what I would like to do is tell you about a group of teachers that we met with a couple of weeks ago, and they had actually viewed the 5 video modules that we've made so far at MIT and given us a lot of feedback that was very valuable to us. And we have actually put those into a new list of protocols that we can send to you if you haven't seen them yet. But first of all, we were really so pleased that these teachers were very positive and enthusiastic about the pedagogy that we're using with Blossoms. They love the idea of having the video, using video, but having it separated into different segments, allowing the in-class teacher time to actually have discussion, activities that were related to the lesson that was being discussed in the video. So this was great. We were delighted, as you can imagine, and they were very, they felt that this was very innovative pedagogy. So they also had some suggestions for us. First, I think Professor Larson also already mentioned it, but they really feel that the opening segment has to be 2 or 3 minutes, short, exciting, to the point, to really get the attention of the students and the teacher, to excite them. You want a puzzle, a question, just something to really draw them in. They also feel strongly that the other segments should only be 4 or 5 minutes at the most, and never longer than 6 or 7 minutes, because they feel that this is just too passive for the students, that they're going to get bored, and it just won't work. So these were very important suggestions that they made for us, and we're trying to work them into the new modules that we're doing. They also felt that it was important that early in the module, not in the exciting first segment, but probably in the second segment, it's important for the lecturer to present an idea of the direction in which he or she is taking the group to the class and what the learning objective is going to be. In other words, give them an idea of where they're going. So again, this is something that we'd like to see incorporated into the modules. They also suggested that any graphs or equations or illustrations that are used in a module should be provided in the CD or the DVD in PDF form. This is so the classroom teacher can take those, copy them, and hand them out to the class so that the class will have them to really understand them. There was also feeling that the modules should be kept simple without a lot of computer graphics. Also, that the materials used in the activities, used in the model, necessary for the module, should be simple, easily accessible. And also, we need to be culturally sensitive in this area. If you're going to use a yardstick, you have to realize that in some parts of the world they use meter sticks, they don't have yardsticks. In other parts of the world they're not going to have either, and they'll have to use the stick of a tree. So all of these things the teachers pointed out to us are important to remember. The teachers also felt that it would be great if the visiting lecturer, video lecturer as I like to call it, would provide a list of additional references that the teacher could turn to on the topic of the lesson, so that they would have more information and could even bring that into their class at another time. Probably a very important thing that they mentioned is something that we're calling the teacher module overview. This is something that would appear, it's a page or page and a half that we would want you to write up if you're going to do a module, and this would be placed on the Blossoms website, and it would be a place where a high school teacher could go. They could see what kind of modules does Blossoms offer, if they're interested in using it in their classroom. And the types of things that should be included in this document would be, what is the topic, what's the learning object, how long does this module take, how much time will they need to have for their class to do it. Also, what are the materials, what are the supplies that will be needed. Are there any prerequisites that the students have to have if they're going to be able to do this lesson? Also, they would, I guess what they really felt would also be very important to include here is examples of the types of activities that will take place during the breaks in between the segments. So this is, again, a place where the teachers can decide whether they want, this would be good, this particular module would be good for them. So now, as I leave you, I would like you to do an assignment. And I think that we've talked a lot about how exciting the opening segment should be, 2 or 3 minutes. And if you're watching this video in a group, it would be great if you could talk amongst each other and kind of brainstorm about how each of your modules could start off in an exciting way. And we'll be back, and when you come back, you'll be listening to Karima. Thanks.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you now have a good idea that you can use to create your Blossoms module, and that you have an idea of how you're going to start and get the students really excited. I have a few more points and a few more suggestions because I created one module and I learned a lot from that experience. So I have a few suggestions about the initial creation and the conceptual ideas that you might find useful in the development of your concept. And then I have a few more suggestions and tips and insights that I had when I was actually recording the video, and it was definitely a new experience for me. So first of all, a suggestion that I have is when you have an idea of the lesson plan, and you're probably right at that stage right now, is think about the different points that you're going to cover throughout, because you have several sections, and it might be a good idea before you start writing the full pseudo script and sentences to say, okay, here's what I want to cover in this section. 1 or 2 points in each section. I think more is really difficult, as you've heard before. It's hard for both the students to really stay focused and get more than 1 or 2 points. And for you, while you're recording it, it's kind of tough to memorize 10 points that you want to list throughout. So stick to 1 or 2, I think. Also, a few ideas that you could have are, some could be more challenging than others, and the way that you could incorporate them is if you put them into the teacher section. So you could introduce them in the section and say, so why don't you think about this problem? But then leave it up to the teacher to work on it with the students. So that's one way that you could tackle the more challenging stretch problems with the students. Now, a few other ideas. I think it's really great to do a few demos. Now, if you watch some of the videos that have already been created, you have seen that the yardstick actually gets sawed into different pieces. If you've seen demos where the demo that I've created, I pick numbers out of a hat just to try and create a little bit of excitement so that it's not a typical lesson plan. So the students see that this is an exciting day rather than a day where they get to watch just a normal video. Okay, and the last point in terms of in the pre-preparation portion of it, I think it's good to look at the details. Within the problem that I tackled, there were a few words that were foreign to me that I wasn't sure how to pronounce. They were German words. And what I did is I talked to my friends who know German and asked them to pronounce it for me. That type of detail-oriented focus really helps when you're actually in front of a video. So you don't have to worry about, do I pronounce this word this way or that way? And it will make you feel much more comfortable when you're actually recording. Okay, so here you are. You have your lesson plan created. You have your demos. You're ready to go. So here are a few suggestions of what you can do the day of the recording. I think it's really helpful to write a few things on the board if you have a board. Some points can be a little bit complicated and difficult to understand just audio when the students hear the audio version of it. So if they're complicated and you write them on the board, both the students who learn through visual methods and through audio methods can really pick it up much easier. In addition to that, if you have some questions that are sort of short questions of, well, what do you think about it? Don't be afraid to say that to the students. Tell them, take 5 seconds, talk to your neighbor. It's a really good method for you to take that break yourself to really think about what you're going to say next, and give the students the extra 5 seconds to really have the material sink in and be digested within their own minds. Okay, so those are specific suggestions when you're actually recording. The other insights that I had when I was recording, I was really shocked by having an empty room. While some of you may be making recordings with the classroom, but if you're, and that would be more natural to you, but within an empty room, there are interesting insights that you have to look at the camera. You're not talking to a classroom. I think the best way to go about it is just to think while you're having a conversation. Don't be afraid, be natural. Also, there are lots of retakes that you could do. If you mess up, if you forget what you were talking about, just laugh it off. It's not that big a deal. You take another retake. And another really great thing about it is you have breaks in between, which I really appreciated, because the whole lesson plan is long, but you have these breaks in between so you can look over your lesson plan and remember, all right, now I do points X, Y, and Z, and it makes it much easier. So that's about it in terms of the points and suggestions I have for you. And I really don't have too much of an assignment, except I hope you maybe look over some of the modules that have already been created. I hope you find them interesting and fun, and I hope you enjoy creating your module yourself. Bye.